for a long time in my personal career, in my work with young people, I have always shared this with many people. And first is to really, 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 as I said, seek to be useful or seek that perfection of character so that you could be the best unto others. So if you are very conscious of yourself, then you are going to be able to seek the best in others. And what does that mean? That means that being self-aware. If you are self-aware, it helps you to know what you are passionate about and what your fears are. And based on that fear, you are able to seek the necessary help, the necessary expertise to be able to overcome those. And for areas that you think you're passionate about, it helps you to get the people around you to help you accomplish such goals within that space. The second point I mentioned is respect. Respect is key in community building. You have to learn to offer respect to everyone within your community. And as people always say, you get what you give to others. So learning to really, really be respectful, people of different opinions. You might have people who would always probably say something that is the opposite of what you believe or the opposite of what you think. But having the maturity to accept such diverse views and still being respectful to them helps to build a good community. Then I think I moved on to, being very intentional about how supportive and or how helpful you are to others. Then I move on to now in building community, you have to be ready sometimes to be seen as the odd one. Now, all of you have gone through 10 Academy. You've learned a lot of skills. You've enhanced your technical skills. You've made friends with people in different countries. And you begin to be asking, how do I put these things to use? So probably you begin to form a community, maybe in your country or maybe a few friends around you. Then sometimes it will come off as if you are too new. You don't have to be discouraged by that, because when you start to build a meaningful community, you have to be ready to be seen as the odd one in trying to let such a community stand. And like I was saying, how are you going to be keeping 10 Academy 2020 cohort going forward? How are you going to keep your community thriving? There are so many ways of keeping a community engaging or keeping a community together. Maybe once in a while, people will organize events. Maybe once in a while, people will, based on their interests, get together to talk about things that interest them, to work on projects that interest them. So finding things within the group or finding things, be it the 10 academic group, be it whatever group or whatever community that you belong to, finding things that interest many people and leveraging on that to do. It could also be the interest of people or the expertise of people and leveraging on that to bring people together so that you can have people, focused and doing something that they are really, really concerned about. Now, in building a community too, sometimes you have to know that if you become the leader, whatever you envisioned for the group sometimes might not be what will actually be the vision when the group eventually goes through the process of understanding what your vision is. So what that means is that whatever community that we find ourselves, sometimes we should be willing to be able to see that it's not just our way, and we should be able to accept modified versions of whatever we may have even presented to that community. The next point, I will talk about is being intentional that within your community, you are supportive to others. We live in an era where everybody is always thinking about themselves. What I have found to be very, very helpful or useful in a group is, me trying to see how I could be of help to my fellow colleagues at work. And because of that, it's not just you are trying to compete within a group to stand out, right? But you are always there, and that is how people really, really realize your relevance in a group. So if you are in a group and all the time it's you receiving, we have to be intentional about what are we also doing to honestly, improve other people or to improve other people within the group. So less of, what can I get for myself than what, you can actually do within the group to help others. And with such a mindset, and if we go on that path, it always helps to keep the community lively, because everybody knows that no, with this 2020-10 academic group, if I reach out right now and I need a group on the latest coding or the latest platform to do this, somebody will respond, right? People believe that once they reach out, they can always get the support, and it's because others are always willing to be there to support. The last point I will say is that do not isolate yourself. We live in an era where everything is network. Recently, I was discussing with a friend that you may finish school, have first class, be very, very intelligent, have everything, and you may still not get the best of jobs because everything nowadays is networked. And that is why probably some of you might have heard the saying that your network is your network. So the essence of that is the community that you surround yourself with actually determines how far you can go. So if you isolate yourself, not only are you doing harm to yourself, but you're actually disadvantaging other people within this group who equally could have benefited from you. So isolating yourself from a community, in respect of whichever community it is, be it this group, be it your school group, always make sure that you are part of the group and your presence is felt. And at least you are out there, not always, I mean, all over the place, but at least making sure that at least you are there and you are being able to help others. My last point will be that all of you are influential. Each and every one of us have an influence on other people. And sometimes the funny part about life is that you never know your influence. So this is a group of many people. This is a group of 14 people on this webinar. And you might not know the influence that Elvis is having on Brian. You might not know the influence that Abu Bakar is having on, any of you. So anytime you find yourself within a community, whether you like it or not, you are an influence. It's whether you are a positive influence onto others or you're a negative influence. And I think as people of a good community, we always want to be a good influence. And whether we realize it or not, we are an influence to the people that we find ourselves within that community. So knowing that you are an influence within your community, we have to be very intentional to ensure that that influence is one that is bringing at least good returns to everyone within the group. If we take these, I don't know if I should call them points or these perspectives, it helps us not only to be part of a group, to just be there and present, but it helps us to be meaningful members. It helps us to do our best to keep our communities thriving. Be it in your work, be it in your personal business, be it in your family, wherever we find ourselves as a group, we must try to keep those communities lively to build that. And I think my last point would be building a community nowadays actually goes beyond what we've just talked about. Network, network, network is the most important skill, I would say. Each of you, no matter how good you are at it, should still always be striving to improve at it, because you never know, who you reach in your network and how that will be helpful for you, or you will be a source of help for other people within your network. So network, network, network as you build your community, and always be ready to offer support to others. These are a few things that I personally have used in my career and in my work with a lot of young people, and I found it to be very, very, very helpful in building a community. And I'm really, really happy to hear, the good things that you've picked out of this program, and looking forward to the kind of communities you will build, be it taking the technical skills you have to, elsewhere to, come up with a new community, or, moving to different places. But most importantly, building this 10 academic group that though you are far away from each other, there is that assurance that anytime I reach out to this group, you know, I have a family here and that family always have my back. I will pause here, then we'll get into maybe a general Q&A, and just whatever thoughts you have, whatever insight you want to share, whatever questions, so that we will share perspectives. Is that okay? Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Can you hear me, Prince? Yeah. Yes. Hello, Prince. Can you hear me?
Yes. Sorry. Yes, I can. Calvin?
Hello?
No, this is
Yes.
Prosper
Mm-hmm.
speaking.
Oh, Prosper.
Okay. Go ahead, Prosper. It seems
Yeah.
people keep leaving and coming, so
Okay.
the network is unstable. But
Yes.
go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. First, so Prince, before then, I should have done an intro. So I am the community manager of the 10 Academy right now. So this conversation is something that fits into trying to create a more cohesive and inclusive community that would stay on. I don't know if you were able to
Hello, Prosper. Prosper, we are losing you. Can you hear us?
share perspective on
Hello?
what you chanced on that led to you thinking about building community. So maybe a perspective of why you think. I know. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, I
Hello,
can hear you. Can you hear
Prosper.
me?
We lost you for a
Yeah, hello.
few
Can you
minutes.
hear me?
You come again.
Okay. So Kevin can go. My network. I said Kevin can go. I think I would get my
Okay.
network back again and speak. But I'm sure you had the first intro, what I said.
I only heard, hello, Prosper. I only heard you talking about you are the community manager, whatever. After that, I lost it. Like I couldn't, the network couldn't come through. But if other people have, perspectives, questions that they want to share as Prosper tries to um, restart his network and join us again, kindly go ahead. Hello?
Yeah, hello. We can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Mhm.
Yeah. So I have a question. So I'm really interested in teaching, as Abu Bakr was saying. So I would like to ask where you teach and why did you choose to teach? Uh, yeah, that's my question.
Is this Elvis?
No, this is Biniam.
Oh, Binyan. Okay, Binyan, thank you so much for that question. So I used to teach at Ashesi. I don't know how many of you know Ashesi, but I used to teach at Ashesi. At the moment, I don't teach much because I don't work at Ashesi anymore. I am a researcher at Boston, Oxfam America in Boston. So I'm a full-time researcher in Boston, but I love teaching, so I still find ways and means of, helping teach alongside. Before COVID came in, I was helping teach a few master courses, a few graduate students, and mostly it's just because of my passion for it, irrespective of the subjects, be it leadership development, be it economics. Those have generally been some of the areas that I have taught in the past. But my interest in teaching has always been, I think you actually become, a hub of knowledge when you teach and you share. It's what you teach, it's what you share that you master. And I think not only because, it gives you the opportunity to share what life has taught you. But most importantly, it helps you to pick fresh perspectives from other people. And I think that is the thing that always draws me to teaching. People teach because sometimes they think they are intelligent, sometimes they think they are smart. For me, it's not really about that. For me, it's always about the different perspective that I get from, the other side, be it student, be it facilitating a section, right? So that is what keeps driving me into teaching. But at the moment, I'm a full-time researcher in Boston, but I still find ways and means of teaching. I don't know if that was clear for or answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the answer. So I have another question. So could you please tell us about a specific time where the community you've built helped you achieve something?
Yeah, many times. I will give you a number of examples. So I remember when we were first running 10 Academy, we had it in person, and there was a time we needed to, put things together. And although I was directly working in this project and I didn't know where, I had to reach out to my community, which basically was a group that I had graduated with from a university, that, hey, guys, I need help on this. Can anybody point me to this? And on countless occasions, that's one particular thing that I'm very proud about my group from the university. People will come there and ask all sort of questions. People will ask questions, look, I need to get something in America. Is there any classmate in America who can help on this? And people will show up and say, hey, I'm here. What do you need? Somebody will say, hey, we need to get something. I need to get something in Germany. So they've been countless, they've been countless scenes in my life where my community, has stepped in to help me. I told you guys I've known Arun for probably 3, 4 years. There have been many times I've reached out to Arun because Arun is part of my community. And I reach out and I've had questions that has to do with my own profession. I've had questions that has to do with maybe things that I just wanted different perspective. And you speak to somebody and the person brings a fresh perspective. So for me, community means a lot for me because no matter how, like I said, good you are, you always need, that perspective from others to be able to really, really help. And I have benefited a lot, both, in my profession, in a lot of things. They've been consulting jobs that I have gotten in different countries in Africa that I've never traveled to. There was a time I was working on a project in South Africa. By then, I had not been to South Africa. I had to call one of my friends in South Africa that, hey, Lindo, what is going on in Cape Town? I need to work on this. So for community, it depends on how you show up in your community and what you seek out to do with your community. Community is always relevant in whatever you do. Hello.
Yeah, thank you so much for the answer.
Mhm. Okay. Can we hear from?
Hello, I have a question. Although it's not really, I'll start with one and I'll ask the other after you've answered this, or I can ask both at the same time. My question is, how is it different working in research rather than working in the industry? And my second question is, how do you overcome like the difficulties that come up in setting a network? Let's say times where you don't feel you have the energy to do something, to reach out or do the rest. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So if I got you, sometimes the challenges that come with networking, how has been the experience working in research versus working in the industry. So I work in international development, and in my field, actually research is not just publishing papers. It's actually practical work. It's practical research. So, there's something in Ethiopia. We are working practically to see how do we get resources to Ethiopia to do this, to do. So it's practical work. So although I'm a researcher. It's not a typical university professor where you you just write papers and publish. So it's actually practical industry work. It's just that, whatever practical work that is done always has to be informed by, research. So we do that research, but we get opportunity to move to different um, country, different projects across the globe. So it's really practical work. I don't know if that helps answers your question. Networking, I will mention, is a fundamental skill for this era. And it's not something that often you are taught in school. Last, I was speaking to one of my colleagues that if I ever came back, if I come back to, if I go back home and I'm teaching again, one of the things that I think I'll probably even want to teach as a course is networking, because people underestimate that. And if you get into the real world of work, you will notice all you've got is actually your network. Right. So I would say yes, it comes with challenges. Sometimes, you'll meet people and, they drain your energy. Sometimes you meet people, you have good networking section, but the outcomes doesn't look like what you expected. You don't have to give up. You have to keep going. And always keep in mind that when you keep going and you attract people who want to stay within your network, they will stay. But networking with people is also different from managing your relationships. I think many times I see people who are very good at, networking, but it's another thing actually maintaining those networks or maintaining that relationship. So right now, most of you, I don't know how many you are, but there are about 15 of you in 10 Academy. You've networked with each other. You know Anastasia, you know Kelvin, you know different people. You've networked, these guys. How you keep that network moving forward is different from just when you created that network. So the ability to maintain meaningful networks is what I think you are referring to. And I think it's something that it takes conscious effort. It takes, continuous learning to see not only are you always reaching out for help, but how you are also being able to help. Sometimes just getting in touch with people to really know what is going on and how, things are going on within their space. And sometimes people will just suggest things that are going on that probably fall within your interest, and um, they put, it takes you through now. I don't know what that means, but I see 38 now. Okay. Okay. So Prosper, I don't know what you mean by that 38 now. Okay, I think the numbers. Okay, all right. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, it does. And I let me ask another one. I'll be selfish with the questions. Some of that question is, how do you feel about online networks in comparison to personal networks? Online networks is where you network through social media and make friends through social media, while the personal ones is the ones that you interact with people personally or meet them face to face. How do you go about each, and what do you think is more significant about the other? If there is one that is significant more than the other.
Okay, so very good question. Very good question. I think in terms of rating, I wouldn't rate one over each other because each of them serve a purpose. So, for example, if I understood you, the physical interactions with people, those networks have a place in your life. And at the same time, too, the online networks, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, also have a place. There are some people I've never met them, but I've maintained professional relationship with them on LinkedIn. And from time to time, we get in touch. We've never met in person. So I think the question is about how do you manage meaningful online relationships? Of course, it's not just being on Facebook and somebody liking nothing. Those you don't really get to know each other. But you can build, maybe you didn't know Prosper, but you find Prosper, online, he's doing something that amazes you or something that is of interest to you. You reach out to Prosper. It started online, right? and Prosper also, revert to you, you connect, you talk about interest. You've never met in person. Another time, maybe you set up a time, you're talking about Python, or maybe you're talking about something else, right? So although it's an online network, you might never meet Prosper, or you never actually met him in person, but that is a meaningful relationship. But sometimes the dynamics of how to just move it beyond like on Facebook or beyond comment is what is a challenge. And I think the physical meetings obviously are great, but they also come with their limitations. For what reason is that relationship or is that network for? So I think each of them serve a purpose, and it's really, really, really about you being very intentional and knowing how to utilize, that. And when I say utilize here, I'm not referring to always getting something in return, but letting people know that, hey, Prosper, I'm actually really, really interested. I am very good in coding this. Look, if you have anything that you want me to, you need an extra hand. Right. So things like that. I don't know if it helps, but in terms of rating, I think all of them said they have different markets, and it depends on which one that you think works best for them. You can decide to focus on what works best for you. But I think at the same time, what would be ideal is to be able to build strategies that work on either side for you, because we are in an era where everything is network and you are not going to be able to meet people all the time. So the ability to be able to have meaningful connection with people online is extremely important, as much as the physical ones too are. I hope that is helpful.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Can we hear from a lady? Any question, any addition, any subtraction? I know our connection has been a bit poor, so people have been on and off, but my goal was to make this very, very lively and to get most of you to talk. So I'll really be happy if we could hear other perspectives from other people on the team.
Hello.
Hello, yeah.
This is Gerald. I just had a question. You say that you are currently based in the US. So, this was one of the questions that popped up in our career session in Ten Academy. Like, how would you compare working in the US versus working from home? Since that majority of us are like, you finish, you have to get a job to go work abroad. And then now this thing for remote work, you just stay at your home and you do work for a company that's also in the world. So how do you compare that? And then how also do you, if you relocate, how are you able to maintain the communities back at home? So that's my question.
Okay. If I understood your question, is how has been the transition to a different work market, which is the US, and how has the experience working from home versus going to the office been? Is that what you asked?
Yeah,
Okay.
something close.
Okay. All right. So definitely working from home has its own challenges. I think more than ever, honesty, integrity is needed now, because you are literally home and your manager or your boss trusts you to do the work. So for example, if you work for me, I'll just send you work, and the only thing I'll only know you've done the work is that I'm only trusting that you, Gerald, will do the work. So it's an economy of trust. It's an economy of having confidence in people. I think that is what this remote work has taught a lot of people, that and the future of work is going to be like that. The future of work is not going to be, in-person meetings. It's just really trusting that, look, I've never met Kelvin before, but look, I need to get this work done, and he said he can do it, and I send over to do this. So it's really an economy of trust. It's an economy of having confidence in other people to be able to do whatever they say they will do. So that has been, for me, the lesson from working from home. Another lesson, versus going in the office is, we take a lot of things for granted. You meet colleagues in the office, sometimes you joke, sometimes you work. You can easily, turn to a colleague and say, hey, Kelvin, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? We lose that. But what that means is that during this remote era, you have to probably take or make an additional effort to be able to reach out to still be able to keep meaningful connections with people. You asked about how has it been transitioning from one marketplace in Africa to here. Definitely, these markets are different. Generally, the work market in this part of the world is very competitive, it's fast-paced, everything is time-based. Um, everything is based on hours. It's not like our place, at the end of the month, they are paying you a certain amount of salary, whether you work or not. Here, everything is based on the hours you've done. So in that regard, it's fast paced. In that regard, everything is really, really, really fast, and you always have to be out there. That doesn't mean that in other workplaces it's not. But generally, what I have seen from work I have done back home and here is that things here are more fast paced. So for those of you who are looking at getting career opportunities outside your home countries, it's something to always keep in mind. It comes with its own dynamics. Definitely, you have to strive to be in touch with your community home, your family, and all that. And at the same time, not lose focus to be able to do what you want to do. So I don't know if that helps, but definitely understanding the dynamics of the market that you find yourself in and just doing all that you can to remain relevant in the market is what will keep you going. Continuously enhancing your skills, continuously networking, continuously reaching out to people to know what is going on so that you can be progressing as well. I hope that is helpful. So we far exceeded our time. Can we get one more question from a lady? If you don't have a question, to no pressure.
Hello.
Hello.
So I have a question. Can you advise us, like young people, to connect with ourselves, to connect with the people in the same generation, or it may be good to connect with others?
Interesting.
Connect. I can see myself.
Mhm.
Most of the people I'm around me are of the same age. Like,
Yeah.
can I consider that as a disadvantage? Or
I think, no, I think it's not a disadvantage. It depends on how you view it. So within your network, if you take your network, your broad network, there are so many segments within your network. There are those who are serving as mentors. There are those who are serving as friends. There are those who are serving as professional coaches. There are those who are serving as classmates. So I think with all the various segments within your network or within your community, each of them have their own place. So my recommendation has always been, definitely, you can't say, it's only meaningful to have network with elderly people. And I would say if there are 38 of you, if for nothing, I will connect with at least all the 38 of these people on LinkedIn. I want to know what is going on, after 10 Academy, which jobs they are moving to. And that is how it starts. Right. there are so many conferences that sometimes I've gone to, and after the conference, you don't even remember who and who you met there. So I would say, to be very practical, I start with now. How many of the 38 people in this cohort are you connected to? How many of them do you know? How many of them do they know you? Because remember, when people know you and they know that this is what interests you, this is what you are working, there's always something to talk about. But if Elvis doesn't know anything about you, your interest and distance, it even becomes very difficult for you and Elvis to have probably conversations around career and that. And obviously, having networks that are older than you is very helpful, because sometimes it helps you to learn from the experience of older folks. So you are able to know the failures people have gone through, the things that work for people. You will not have the same experience, but it helps you to to know that these gaps are ahead, and it helps you as a wise person to just know how to strategize, so that when you get there, at least it's not a surprise to you. You are well equipped to be able to jump over those. So in a nutshell, I would say learning to have a balance between the two is very, very important. A balance between older people within your network and people of your peers. For example, if you start a company right now, you are going to need your peers who are social media kings and queens to rally your to push your product out there. So you notice that if you didn't have that, you might have lost out on that. But maybe you're in a successful career and you're thinking of transitioning to a different one. In that case, you will probably need maybe older folks within your network, or even younger folks within your network who have also transitioned, to share with you generally what their experience have been moving from one profession to the other. So I don't know if this is helpful, but that is how I think of those segments.
Yeah, it is helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Prince, I don't know if you can hear me.
Your line is breaking, but definitely go ahead. Hello, Prosper.
Okay, so in order for me not to lose the recording online,
Hello, Prosper. It seems I can still hear you, but maybe the rest of the team may be hearing you. But I want to say it's been really, really a great time spending time with all of you. And I'm so excited to hear the experience that all of you have had in this program, and even looking forward to connecting with most of you and to hear how things will be for you after 10 Academy. So stay in touch, and remember the various things that we had discussed on community building, and ensure that whatever community that is around you, you are doing your best as a good community member to ensure that that community keeps thriving. So it could be this 10 Academy community, and I'm throwing a challenge to you to, work hard to keep your 10 Academy community together, to be one that you can easily reach out and put your question there, and within few minutes somebody will respond, because it's a group that you have each other at heart. It's a group that when you have challenges in your work, whatever it is, you can reach out and you will get different perspectives from other people. And I hope All these have been helpful, and you will continue to learn from one another as well as your wonderful facilitators. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the day. I don't know whether it's evening at your end, it's morning, whatever time that it is. Enjoy the rest of the day and stay in touch.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Calvin.
Thanks for the time, Grace.